Hey everyone, welcome back to part 6 of working through the Anomaly machine, or really a lab here from Hack Smarter. Now this is part 6. So if this is the first video that you're watching in this series, you might feel a little bit lost. So I would recommend beginning with part 1 and then hacking right alongside of me as you watch the different videos. But up to this point, we have fully compromised the web server. We have pivoted over to the domain controller. We have compromised in some ways aspects of the domain controller. We spent last stream and last video looking at things via Bloodhound, but we sort of struck out. We found nothing really that interesting in Bloodhound, besides we know a few of the different domain admins. But what I gave you the challenge to do in part 5 was to dig a little bit deeper and see what you were able to find. And I gave you the hint of looking into certificates. Now, when I am doing an actual pen test or a CTF, generally my approach is number one, figure out some way to get into the Active Directory environment. Once I'm in the Active Directory environment, I will run Bloodhound and I'll look at potential attack paths in Bloodhound. In a real AD environment, there's almost always multiple attack paths that you can dig into. But in a CTF, if you don't see any attack paths in Bloodhound, then I always recommend enumerating ADCS, or Active Directory Certificate Services. There are various different Active Directory Certificate misconfigurations that if they are made, you can often use those to elevate your privileges. I've seen this in real AD environments very, very often, and I've also seen it in CTFs very often. I've also seen it as unintentionals. We actually had a machine that was submitted to Hack Smarter. I don't know if it was Midgarden or another one, but the creator accidentally made their own machine vulnerable to it. One of our QA members was like, hey, good machine, but I skipped everything by abusing ADCS, and they didn't even realize they themselves made the misconfiguration. So it's very easy to misconfigure Active Directory certificate services. Also, hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to notice there's chat. Nope, right here. There's chat. Right there. I make these videos while I live stream, and I live stream almost every single day. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you're notified the next time I'm live. And you then can also be in the live studio audience and be part of the live stream. All that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the machine. I've already booted up my machine. I am on the VPN, and let's go ahead and begin enumerating Active Directory certificate services. There is sort of a standard tool for this. I'm going to pull this out so we can go back and forth, but I'm going to make a new section here in my Notion, and I'll say enumerating ADCS vulnerabilities. I'll make a new header there. I like Notion because it gives you a nice table of contents over here on the side, but we can enumerate ADCS vulnerabilities, and the tool that you are going to use most of the time is what is called Certify. Now I'm going to go ahead and CD, whoops, not like that. I'm going to CD to Hack Smarter and Anomaly. And this is built into Kali Linux, but it's called Certify-AD on Kali. I think it's a little bit different than the Certify via Python 3 to install. Like, I think it's missing some features potentially, but it should allow you to do most things. And if we jump over to Certify, I always forget the syntax for Certify, but here's a beautiful thing about ethical hacking. You don't need to memorize syntax. It's good to understand what tools can do what and when to turn to a certain tool, but you don't need to have all the crazy syntax memorized for every tool. That's the beauty of the internet and wikis. Like Certify has a really nice wiki that walks you through both installing it, using it, but also abusing all the different privilege escalation paths. So if we dive over to usage, I think we'll cover it here. So it says enumerating ADCS. The attacker runs certify find to discover any vulnerable configuration. So we have the syntax right there, and we'll go ahead and give that a shot. So I'm gonna do certify-AD find, we'll do -U, and you can actually see it from when I was working through. I don't remember what machine soulkiller.service is from, but it must have been one of a previous live streams. But we'll go ahead and enter our information, and we are Brandon Boyd at anomaly.hacksmarter. We'll go and enter in our password, which I don't remember his password. We'll grab it right here. We'll enter his password. I also want to go back to this so I can see it. So I can see it over the behind my terminal. So we'll enter in his password. We want to give it the DC IP, which we can get that from this machine up at the top. We'll grab the DC IP right there. And we can go ahead and have it output as text, enabled, admins, and I think you can do -vulnerable to only show vulnerable templates to help work through a little bit of the noise. I think that's the right flag for just vulnerable templates. We'll find out. We'll go ahead and hit enter. Hey, Pretzel Pete, we are doing the Anomaly machine from, or the Anomaly lab from Hack Smarter. Realize I'm missing a few things in chat. Is it possible to get a job cyber security in US without a degree? I'm living in a developing country and I hate going to university. It's going to be very, very, very hard. It's already hard for people in the US to get cyber jobs. And a lot of cyber jobs require their employees to be US citizens due to security purposes. I have a roadmap made for pen testing on my YouTube channel, I think for 2025 or 2024. It's still applicable. I am going to make a new video like how to become a pen tester for 2026 very soon. Anyways, you can see that we were able to enumerate the different certificate services, and I'm going to grab all of this just to drop it into our notes. Actually, I don't need the output. I'm going to grab the syntax to drop it into our notes because it's always good to document what you are doing. So I'll just say step number 1 is enumerating the certificates. And I'll drop a code block and just show what I did to enumerate the certificates. And you can see it saved the text output to right here. So I'm going to copy that and we'll cat that out and see what the text input shows. And we have a few things already. We have ESC1 and ESC4 on this cert admin template, it looks like. So ESC1 enrollee supplies subject and template allows client authentication. We should be able to essentially request a certificate and pretend like we're a domain admin and then authenticate as a domain admin. And we also have ESC4 that we could potentially abuse. So let's grab this. I'm going to grab all of this and just drop it into our notes. And then we'll spend a little bit of time reading about those different vulnerabilities. So I'm going to do an H2 potentially, and we will say exploiting ESC1. And let's go ahead and read about ESC1 together. And what I told you is the Certify Wikipedia is incredibly helpful. So if you go to privilege escalation, you can say each one of these ESCs are here. So if we click into ESC1, we can see that it is the stereotypical ADCS misconfiguration that can lead to privilege escalation. Exactly what I was talking about. The certificate template is inadequately secured, permitting a low privilege user to request a certificate. And like I said, as a domain admin, this allows the attacker to impersonate any user, including administrators. And so it talks about how you can find this vulnerability, which we were able to find. And we do need to look at to make sure we are in the right group. So if I scroll down to the bottom, you can see that it is the domain computers. So potentially we need to have the ability to enroll a new computer object into Active Directory. And if we control that computer object, we can then abuse it in order to exploit ESC1, I think. So we have this command to request the certificate and the expected output snippet, and it confirms that a certificate was created, blah, 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 blah. But I do think that we have an extra step that we need to do, and that is creating a computer account. And once again, just to highlight that for you. Well, you know, I could try this, and it's going to fail. But the reason it's going to fail is if we look over at our notes here, just to break this down a little bit, we have, of course, our certificate name, our DNS name, blah, blah, blah. And then we have our template name that we are trying to abuse. And the template name is the cert admin template. Oh, one second. The cert admin template, you can see it's enabled, client authentication, blah, 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 blah. But what matters here is you look at who has these user ACL principals, who can enroll these things. It's all the domain computers. Well, we have compromised Brandon Boyd, and Brandon Boyd is a domain user, not a domain computer. So we are going to have to add a new computer resource, I believe, before we can exploit this privilege escalation, I think. We'll find out together. So step number 1, how do we add another domain computer? There is multiple blogs on this. One that I think is good is Hacker Recipes, add domain computer potentially. Let's see if I am correct. Yes, this is what I'm thinking of. And we have the addcomputer.py. So let's read about this a little bit. So the machine account quota is a domain level attribute that by default permits unprivileged users to attach up to 10 computers to an AD domain. Okay, so scroll through. This is checking the value. So we can go ahead and check the value first. Let's make sure this is actually abusable. We can go back to, I don't actually have a netexec command here, so I'll just paste this in and we'll fill out this information. So our domain, I think we can just do anomaly.hsm. Actually, no, that's going to be the actual domain controller, which we can get that information right here. It's going to grab the IP. Our domain is going to be anomaly.hacksmarter. Our user is going to be Brandon Boyd. And our password is going to be Brandon Boyd's password. So what we're checking now is whether or not that default is enabled. Best security practices is that is disabled, so users cannot add computers to the AD environment. So we'll try this and we'll just see, hey, is this possible? And apparently my credentials are wrong because I forgot to put single quotes around the password and escape the password. Let me just retype the password here. Okay, there we go. So we can see that the machine account quota is 10, which should allow us to add computers. And let's go ahead and just add some notes here. So this can only be exploited by domain computers. Checking if the default adding up to 10 computers is enabled. And we were able to check that with netexec. And we confirmed that it is enabled. All right, let's jump back over to this. YouTube just crashed for me. That sucks. I don't think it crashed for anyone else. Certify also has a way to add computer accounts. Found that out working in a lab a couple of weeks ago. Oh, nice. Let's do that. Let's use Certify. I wonder, does Certify AD have the ability to add computer accounts? Let's find out together. I'm not really sure what to look for a computer account. Maybe it would be maybe post-exploitation. That specifies the account. I'm not sure how to do it. We'll have to dig into it. But our impacted add computer pi should do it. And you can see that it is in my path. We can do -H on impacted add computer, but that is what I think we should be able to do. And then we'll specify our user at the end. So I'm going to copy all of this and just open it up in Mousepad here, just so I can get the syntax right. Okay. So we're going to do impacted add computer. We need to specify our computer name, and our computer name is going to be HackSmarter, of course. Our computer password, we're going to make it HackSmarter123 exclamation mark. Same thing I use for my bank account. We need to specify our domain controller, which we can once again grab the IP right there and add that in. Our domain net BIOS is going to be Anomaly. Anomaly.hacksmarter, if I could learn how to spell. And then our user that we're doing this as is the Brandon Boyd user at Anomaly. So we'll do Brandon Boyd. I'm going to switch this password to single commas to escape the special characters that are in the password. Let's go ahead and grab his password again right here. All right, that all looks correct to me. I'm sure I did something wrong, but let's find out together. Boom. Successfully added machine account HackSmarter with password HackSmarter123. So let me copy that and we'll add it to our notes. All right, we'll say adding a computer account we control. We'll go ahead and paste that in right there. Oops, didn't mean to open that. And now that we have the computer account that we control, I believe we jump back over to the wiki here. When we go back over to ESC1, we should be able to exploit it this way. So instead of our attacker here, we would put in, I think, our computer account at Anomaly HSM, our password DCIP. We have our target, so we know what our target is there. That's Anomaly .hsm. Our CA is going to be, I think, the name of the CA that we saw in the template. The template is going to be cert admin, I think was the name. And then we need to target an administrator, and we grab the administrator's information from Bloodhound. Remember, we pulled up the different domain admins. So once again, I guarantee you I'm going to do something wrong here. But let's go ahead and give it a shot. I'm going to first type it up here just so I get the syntax correct. This is going to be certify AD because we are working inside of Kali Linux. Our attacker machine is going to be hack smarter $. We can see the computer name right there, hack smarter $, at anomaly.hacksmarter. Our password is going to be hacksmarter123 ! Our DC IP, we have it up here from our previous command. So I'm going to grab the DC IP from there. Our target, and we need to go ahead and grab the target, would be this CA right here, I believe. Okay, and our template, I think it was called cert admin right here. All right, our UPN, we can specify one of those domain admins. Where was that at? Where did I do the domain admin stuff? Oh, Anomaly. Let's try the actual domain admin here. So we'll do Anomaly at Anomaly. I think the SID is actually optional. I don't think it's needed. I don't know if it says in the wiki, but for some reason I think that is optional. You don't actually need to do the full SID there. So I'm going to try it without, and we'll give it a shot. So I think my syntax is correct. I'm sure it's not, but YOLO, let's give it a shot. Okay, the DNS response does not contain an answer. Okay, let me specify. There's a way to specify your DNS server. Okay, so if we do certify request, certify AD request -H, is there a way to specify DNS? DNS TCP, target DNS, target DNS name or IP address of the target machine. No. DC IP names, is it -NS potentially for the name server? For some reason, I thought you could do just DNS. Oh, yeah, okay. DNS -DNS, alternative DNS name to include. So if I do -DNS and we grab the IP of the domain controller to specify that as the DNS, will that fix my current issue? Let's find out. Oh, cacorp.local. Where's it pulling that from? Ah, this is what I messed up. So we have the CA here, but of course, wait, what did I do wrong? For the target should be our domain controller, I believe. Let's try this. I didn't realize I didn't update that one. If I go back to this, I'm going to try to change this to just anomaly.hsm. At least it didn't error out right away. Making progress. Every time I have to exploit ADCS, it takes me forever just to get the freaking syntax correct. Sometimes if you get that error, yeah, I've had that multiple times where at first it times out, just run it again and it will go through and you can actually see that we did finally get it to work. So let me go ahead and copy that and add it to our notes. Scroll through. Exploiting the ADCS vuln with a computer account. Right, that's the computer account that we added. And we now have that .pfx file, and it actually walks you through in the wiki what to do if you do not know. So it will say, hey, now that you have that, you can actually authenticate with that PFX file. And it should give us a hash that we can then use. So I'm going to copy that. Well, actually, I don't need to copy it. It's pretty easy to remember. We can type that out. We'll do certify auth-pfx. I don't actually remember what it was called. We have the Anomaly PFX right there. And then we want to specify the DC IP, which also we're in Kali Linux. So it's certify AD, not just certify. And then specify the DC IP, which we can grab from our lab page right there. And we'll paste that in. And it says, please select an identity. We want 0 because we want to exploit, Anomaly. So I'm gonna do 0. This is where I cross my fingers again and just hope that it works. Trying to get the ticket granting ticket from Kerberos. Come on. I believe you. Object SID mismatch between certificate and user Anomaly. See wiki for more information. I don't think so. There shouldn't be. Object SID mismatch between certificate and the user. Oh. Do I need to do lowercase? Is that really my issue? I can't imagine that that would matter. But maybe it does. Let's find out. What if instead of uppercase Anomaly, it needs to be lowercase? So it matches what it's looking for. Let's try that. Is it going to work? Is it going to time out? Nobody knows. Oh, yep, it timed out. Or it got the net BIOS error. Let's try it again. We'll just keep brute forcing it till it works. There we go. Okay, I got it. This time it is lowercase. I'm just going to go back to my previous command and see if that really was the issue. We'll do 0. No. Okay, using principal, trying to get ticket writing ticket, object SID mismatch. So maybe I do potentially need to specify the SID, right? Like I skipped that step, if you guys remember right. Also, I don't think 1 would do anything. Let me just, for the fun of it. Yeah, that's not going to work. Maybe I do need to specify Anomaly's SID. That's just my guess. So let's go ahead and try doing that. We'll have to go back over to the wiki so I can remember the syntax for it. Okay, so it's just -SID and then we specify the SID. So I'm going to copy that. And here was the command that we were running. I'm going to copy this command and I don't know if this one was fully right. So let's paste this one in there. We have our DNS. And what we want to do is say SID, it looks like. And then we just specify the user's SID, right? You can see it right there. So we'll grab the example one just so we have it in our notes here. SID like so. But then we need to get the user's SID. But it actually shows you how you can do this, right? To find the SID and other attributes of a target user like administrator, you can use this command. So let's do this in order to get the SID of the Anomaly user. Once again, I'm going to paste it into Notepad or Mousepad rather, so I get the syntax correct. For our username, we should be able to use our computer account, but I think really any account would work for this. So we'll do Hack Smarter for our computer account. Hack Smarter 123 for our password. We need to give it our domain controller IP, which is right here. All right, and our user that we want to read is going to be Anomaly. Anomaly like so, and then read should be fine. So let me see if this syntax is correct. And it is. So now we have Anomaly's SID. So I'm going to copy her SID and I'm going to replace the placeholder here with Anomaly's SID. And let's see if maybe this is the missing piece. I'm going to remove the old Anomaly PFX1, clear my screen, cross our fingers, hope for the best. Hey, what is up, Poimanoi? Good to have you here. All right, so we were able to get the certificate, but we used the correct SID. You can see the SID right there being specified. If I was a betting man, that would be the issue because we were getting the SID mismatch. So let's try to use certify auth now. We'll use 0 for Anomaly, and boom, that was the issue. So let's go ahead and specify that in our notes. We'll say we had an issue because we did need to specify the SID for the target user. And I'll just go ahead and grab this full syntax of me exploiting it and then using it to get Anomaly's hash. We'll drop it in right there. So we now have Anomaly's hash just like so. And we should be able to do a pass the hash attack. Potentially, we'll do evil win RM. Will be the easiest one if evil win RM works. And we have Anomaly -H to specify the NTLM hash -I anomaly.hsm. And if remote management is enabled, this should work. If it is not enabled, we will have to try some things. And it looks like it might time out on us. We could also try xfree RDP 3, I think. I don't remember the syntax for it. xfree RDP 3. We could try to pass the hash when we log in. So we'll do /u anomaly. Zoom in so you guys can see it. Anomaly-hsm. And then we do / the username. Anomaly. And then I think we can do like H like so and paste in the hash to pass the hash. I think I could have that incorrect. /v anomaly-hsm. Okay. Client state connect pass reconnect preconnect failed something something something. I bet I did that wrong. Let's do xfree RDP 3-H grep hash. Okay, it's PTH. PTH to pass the hash. Okay, that still failed. Looks like Kerberos is failing on the connection. All right. What did I do anything wrong here? Or maybe this method is also not going to work to compromise it. I don't usually use xfree RDP 3, so every time I use it, I have to think a moment for the syntax. So I'm just looking at the syntax. I think I did the syntax right. Let me know if you guys see something in my syntax that I worked, but I think I did it right. The other thing to keep in mind is I believe Defender and everything is enabled, so that's where some of our tools might fail. Like Defender is going to catch you and cause it to fail. But this is already a longer video than usual. We're at like 30 minutes, but we're not going to stop until we successfully compromise it. So it says you do have to bypass or evade the installed AV. And you can see evil win RM is timing out. Now, when this happens, there's different tools that we can use. One that will often get through Defender potentially is WMI exec. So if we do impacket WMI exec, I don't remember the syntax, so let's do -H. But with WMI exec, we can do, okay, so we need our target. So I'm going to do anomaly-hack smarter. / Anomaly, and then at anomaly-hack smarter, because that's just going to point us to the domain controller. So that's going to be the correct syntax for that, but we want to do it with a hash. So then we can do hashes. And I think I can specify just the NTLM hash. Well, I have the full hash here. I'll just grab both. Full hash there. Okay, now we also cross our fingers. And we see that maybe, just maybe, potentially, we can get in. Hey, what is up, JKR? Think you are missing a slash for the user. One slash is getting eaten by the shell. So Anna, you might be right. Yeah. No, we're not getting anything. Didn't I at least get like a connection last time? Attempted connection? Yeah. Okay, apparently WMI exec is not going to work. That usually works. So you have WMI exec, you have PS exec that could potentially work, but I don't think like PS exec is definitely going to get detected. I think there's some other tooling that we can use. Is it WMI exec 2? Is that what it's called? I don't think it comes by default on Kali, and I might be hallucinating. Yes. Oh, we got Ryan himself checking in. What is up, my friend? Okay, yeah, this is what I was thinking of. So the stealthy upgrade to everyone's favorite WMI exec, obfuscated, enhanced, and red team ready. Will it actually work? Who knows? Let's go ahead and try to install this. So it says all modules working as of right now. We have usage. Let's try this. Maybe this will give us a shell onto the machine. All right, I'm gonna git clone it. CD into WM exec. I'm gonna open up a virtual environment for Python to install the tooling. We'll source my bin activate. All right, now we can do pip3 install-r requirements.txt to get it installed. And while we install it, let's go ahead and look at the syntax for WMI exec 2. So it shows right here, we can specify administrator and password, supports both password and NTLM hashes. Cool. Shell type PowerShell and shell type command. Let's go ahead and give this a shot and see if it works for us. Python 3 WMI exec 2-h, and we have pip3 install. I don't know if that will fix it. Import PKG, import impact from impacket import version line 10, import PKG resources. What module would come with that? Apparently, I'm going to spend this stream troubleshooting that. PI, so setup tools maybe? Apparently, it was not in the requirements.txt. Okay, there we go. So just had to fix that. And it looks identical to WMI exec. So let me just go to our previous command, make our lives a little bit easier. Okay, I'm going to do the same command, but we are going to do Python 3 WMI exec 2. Haha, it actually worked. Freaking amazing. All right, let's grab this. And we will say H1 getting a shell. I mean, it's semi-shell access, right? Because it is WMI exec, but we can paste that in, and let's go ahead and grab that tool and add it to our notes. So if we're ever on an exam or an engagement and we need to remember how to do that, I'd be like, hey, I did that on Anomaly, and I can jump back over to my notes and see what tooling I used. But we now have a shell on the machine, and we should, if I do help, you can see all the different things that we can do. I think I can, so we can get files. Oh, we can check query defender status. So defender is enabled, and we were able to use this in order to do it. Can I just do dir and stuff? Can I do dir users administrator desktop? And I can, and then I can type, see, users administrator desktop root.txt. And I know I just showed you guys root.txt, but here's the thing. On HackSmarter, we don't have any silly leagues or things like that. I think gamifying is good to a point. But if you just want to, like, for some odd reason, want to just steal flags from my live stream for my own platform, I guess you can do it. But I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. And we have successfully solved the machine. And the cool thing now is if I go ahead and hit complete on this, you will see that we should get a cool looking certification. We'll give it a moment. And apparently not. Can I open in a new tab? There we go. I think it's just because of my VM, but there we go. I have successfully completed Challenge Lab Anomaly on November 18th, 2025. A big thank you to Ryan, aka Overgrown Carrot, for making such an excellent lab. And hey, hopefully you learned a lot in the process, including the WMI exec tool. I've heard of that tool. I think, geez, I read about it. Is it in one of Bob's walkthroughs maybe? I love reading 0x Bob's walkthroughs. If you haven't read them, he does an amazing job. He makes walkthroughs for all the HackSmarter machines, and I learn new tools just when I read through his walkthrough. But I think he mentioned that tool in one of his walkthroughs. But there we go. We have successfully solved the machine. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.